Healthy babe, happy mom. Because, I started to think, what is it that's common among all the things that I teach? And it really came down to healthy babe, happy mom. And when you got both those things together, you got a perfect combination. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. I want to... it is my great pleasure tonight to introduce to you a very, very special person, somebody that I recently met in person, but I've been talking to for a while and have known so much about. And she's going to be our guest expert tonight, and she's actually on the line with me. And I have Alicia Voorhees from The Soft Landing, okay? And Alicia is just an amazing, amazing person. She was a registered nurse, and she was also, she has been working for the past, Alicia will tell us, for several years now, helping new parents just decipher through all the products out there to find the healthiest choices, non-toxic choices, non-chemical-free products for their babies. And she's got an awesome website called The Soft Landing. And I'm very, very honored to welcome Alicia to the show. Alicia, are you on with us?
I'm here, Sherry.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much for being with us. It's just really awesome to have you with me to talk about this great topic.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh my gosh, our pleasure, our pleasure. When I thought about the topic of healthy baby and what are the things that we could talk about, when it comes to living a healthier life, it's not about living in a bubble. And I'm sure that you would agree with that, is that you can never live in a bubble, but there are many things I'm sure that we can do to reduce chemical and toxic exposures to our children that we're not even aware of.
Absolutely, and I love that you said we can't live in a bubble.
Yeah.
And I think that, sometimes maybe, the kind of green, crunchy crowd that I move in, I definitely am in that arena. We get caught up,
Yes.
in really looking at the little fine details. But, the truth is we just have to do the best we can, and we take steps as we learn them.
Yes.
And we need to learn not to push others too fast, but to just educate them little by little.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's it's always been my my motto and my mission also is to educate and inspire and just empower moms to make really good choices for themselves and for their babies. And that all comes through knowledge and information. And then people really do have a right to choose what they want. But sometimes when you don't have that knowledge, can you really consider it a choice?
Yeah, exactly. That's right. And I think that you and I really share the same mission.
Totally.
In that way that, what we're in this for is just to help educate everybody. That way you can make better decisions when you go out to the stores and you look at products that have no labels on them. You kind of have a little bit more knowledge to pull from.
Absolutely, absolutely. So if you were to, as an expert, and, can you tell us a little bit more about your website and about what you do?
Sure. I worked as a director of nursing for about 13 years, and I loved it. But as you know, eventually us nurses tend to get a little burned out.
Yeah.
And so I decided to kind of leave the rat race and pursue my passion of having my own business. And I'm a little bit of a medical research geek. So, I was inhaling a lot of research in about 2006 about endocrine disrupting chemicals. And, that's a pretty wide range. But, the one that caught my attention was BPA. And my sister Joni, who is very much involved in my company, along with my other two sisters and my mother. There's 5 of us.
Wow, it's awesome.
We run the Soft Landing from start to finish, every bit of it. It has been quite a team effort to learn about some of the major offenders, out there. Things that really aren't that hard to avoid, like phthalates and PVC, and we just decided at the time in 2006 there wasn't enough information. We couldn't tell which products had these chemicals that were leaching out of the plastic by just looking. So we learned, and then we decided to start sharing the information. And the more we researched and talked to manufacturers, we thought, we need to just throw these on a website somewhere and make it easy for parents who are too busy to do this in-depth research. So that's what we did, and the Soft Landing is a place for us to share our knowledge, and we have about 50 different brands of products that are all confirmed to be free of endocrine disruptors.
So totally amazing. It's so great because moms just don't always have the time to do the research for themselves. And so your website is www.thesoftlanding.com, correct?
That's exactly right.
So, Alicia, if we were to pick like the top 5 categories that you would consider like the most important, if we wanted to go over tonight, what would you say those top 5 categories would be?
You know, of course, I have to go straight to, for me, because I'm a little bit uber focused on it, but it would be endocrine disruptors. And, we seem to find those a lot in plastics. And so that would be, number 1 for me, because, anything that mom takes in obviously affects baby. And especially if she's pregnant, and also sometimes if she's breastfeeding as well. So that would be kind of like big number 1 for me to start with.
Yeah, and where would you say are the most like the biggest places where we would find those things and that kind of exposure?
Well, it used to be, years ago when we first got started looking at this, it was the baby bottles that were like the huge offender. But, it's pretty exciting. Today, in fact, there is a really great article by Liz Sabo in USA Today highlighting some of the progress that mommy bloggers like myself and Jennifer,
congratulations,
the Smart Mama,
yes,
and Jennifer McNichols, Z-Rex, have been able to make a difference by advocating and educating parents through our blogs. And the great thing is, you just don't find BPA in baby bottles very often anymore. So that's exciting. Well, now it's time to go, where else are we finding it? Because it is a ubiquitous chemical. It's showing up everywhere. The more we look, the more we find it. And, the key is really just decreasing exposure. So I'd have to say the next biggest concerning area, that it's not a plastic thing, so it's a little bit surprising, but it's ready-made formula. So formula that's not powdered and it's not concentrated, but it's already had the water added, and they use an epoxy lining, just like they do in aluminum canned foods for BPA. It's all BPA-based, and so far they haven't found a substitute for that.
Wow. It's really interesting. We have a lot of moms who are breastfeeding on the line with us, but we also have a lot of moms who are formula feeding as well. And it's one of those categories where, you think, okay, to have the healthiest choices for your baby, of course, breastfeeding is going to be the healthiest choice. But, if that's not happening for you at this particular moment, is there anything that we can do to make it, a little bit safer to make the best choices when it comes to formula feeding? One of them, like you just mentioned, is the type of formula that you're using.
Absolutely. And, there's almost all formula actually probably contains a little bit of BPA, even the powdered formula. But the powdered formula is still a better choice because it has a lower amount of BPA. It hasn't absorbed as much from the epoxy lining because it's not liquid.
Got it.
So that's what I would do. And I know that you recently published some information that I found very helpful about DHA. I wish you would jump in on that.
Yeah, the DHA, there's almost every formula on the market today contains something called DHA, which is naturally found in breast milk, that helps with brain development in your baby and visual acuity. And so about 6 years ago, all of the formula companies decided to add DHA into all of the infant formulas, including the organic ones. But what they did not tell you is that this DHA that they were using came from a company called Martech, where it was grown in an algae source. And this algae, the way that they would extract the DHA, or the way they do extract the DHA from this algae, is using certain solvents and chemicals like hexane and bleach and acids, and small particles of those materials get into the formula. It's been a pretty big fight for the last year or so now to try to get it at least out of the organic formulas, because how can you have an organic formula with those even trace amounts of those chemicals in it? But the formula companies have fought pretty hard to keep it in there. Cornucopia.org is a great place to get the information. There's like a 68-page report explaining what the problem is with the DHA, and then also the worst part about it is that it's not only that there are things in it that are not good for the baby, but they've also found that it really isn't that helpful anyway. There's really only one formula on the market that doesn't have this DHA in it, and they talk about it in the articles. I'm not going to go through brands of formula here on the show, but it is something that I think anyone who's considering using formula or using formula now really needs to be aware that, when you're not using a good formula, the milk and the ingredients that are being used into that formula are not organic. You're probably drinking organic milk yourself or giving it to your older children and then using, the cheapest ingredients that they can find to make the regular formulas, which are filled with hormones and pesticides and steroids, into the regular formulas, and they're drinking tons and tons of it. So it's really something to consider.
Absolutely. You really educated me on that. I had no idea that was even an issue.
Yeah, and this cornucopia.org, it's right on their homepage, and there's several reports. In fact, there was even one report where they were showing how did the formula industry get away with it for so long, keeping it in the organic brands. Somebody was paid off, and you can read all about it. That they found.
Oh my gosh!
It's really awful. When you think of everything's out there for money and at what baby's expense. There was
exactly. It drives me crazy. And it kind of brings me back to the chemical industry.
Yeah.
For BPA, just recently, we had a bill that was getting ready to go through the Senate, and we thought we were doing pretty good on just getting some general regulation. I'm not asking for tons of government intervention here.
Yeah.
Just some simple things like, hey, could we not put it in a developing child's toys and just anything, because developing children, the reason it affects them so much is because they're exposed to it so much more. They're eating more, they're sleeping more, they're breathing more, and they're also developing at such a rapid rate.
Yes.
And so, or just label things. How about we just put a label on something that says, hey, by the way, this has this chemical in it.
It seems
just to let us be informed. But the industry spent millions, $12 million trying to keep this from happening.
Yeah.
So it drives me crazy,
well,
and parents do just need to keep working at it.
Most of the industry is self-regulating, even when it comes to all kinds of things. When it comes to lotions and skincare creams, which we're going to get to in a minute, diapers that are on your baby's body all day long. Let's talk for a minute about the lotions and creams. We have a sponsor, Earth Mama Angel Baby, who's Melinda, the owner of the company, is a very good friend of both of ours, and one of the best products out there on the market when it comes to organic, toxin-free, chemical-free creams and lotions for mothers and babies. She's got a full line.
Right. And Melinda is just, wow, she's passionate.
She sure is.
It's been so enlightening working with her and learning from her, because that is not my area of expertise at all.
Yes.
But I know that when you put something on your skin as a nurse, it's just absorbed straight into your bloodstream.
Yes.
Your skin is your largest organ.
Yes.
And it drives me crazy when parents are sitting home with, these just highly toxic little smell good shampoos, and baby wash for their babies.
Yes.
And, then parents assume that it must be okay, if their physicians and pediatricians are sending them home with this stuff. And, Earth Mama goes so far above and beyond to have their products tested, and certified organic, that I'm still learning about all that. But, there are some big things like phthalates in skincare and parabens,
Yes.
And phthalates a lot of times are used to keep the fragrance, it's hanging around for a long time. But parabens are something that are used as a preservative, in lots of cosmetics and foods and skincare, pharmaceutical products even. But they also mimic the hormone estrogen, and that's kind of what I was talking about earlier with the endocrine disruptors. That's what we're talking about here. So when they're absorbed through the skin, parabens can often cause enough issue with the estrogen and hormone system that they can, incite breast cancer and male reproductive abnormalities. And these are all things you will not find.
Yeah.
1,4-dioxane is another scary chemical that you'll find, and No More Toxic Tub was a report that was put out quite a while ago. I'll send you that link for the resource page too.
Yeah.
And Wow, there are byproducts, from chemical interactions and things like that Earth Mama tests for very carefully. So you can trust everything they put out.
One of the things that I thought was so interesting, because one of my clients, she's actually a friend of mine, used the Earth Mama baby shampoo on her child, and she said when it got into the baby's eyes, it was stinging the baby's eyes. And please ask Melinda, why isn't it a tear-free? If it's organic, it should be tear-free. And so I asked Melinda, well, isn't your product tear-free? She goes, do you understand what tear-free is? They actually put an anesthetic into the product so that babies don't feel the burning. It doesn't mean that it's not burning their eyes.
Isn't that crazy?
It's totally crazy.
Oh my gosh,
I was blown away when I heard that. So it's not like not doing damage. Then here, you're better off avoiding it getting in their eyes. And if they do feel in their eyes, that they at least cry and tell you that it's in their eyes, versus it's stinging for a second and then just an anesthesia that it allows it to burn, but you just don't feel it. I mean, that's exactly what that is, tear-free. I would have never thought that.
It's really, really shocking. And you know what? It's like we said, we're coming back to this. It's just a lack of knowledge. We don't know these things.
Yes.
So we have to help each other figure it out.
We have an awesome video, Alicia, that I want to play of an interview I did with Mama Melinda over at the ABC show in Las Vegas, so we can hear from Melinda herself about her products. We're gonna go to that video now, and I'll be back with you.
Okay.
Hi everyone, it's Shari, and I'm here in Las Vegas at the Earth Mama Angel Baby booth with a very dear friend of mine, Mama Melinda. This is Melinda. She's the owner and founder of Earth Mama Angel Baby, a product line that I've been carrying and endorsing and recommending to all of you for years and years and years. And I just really wanted to give you the opportunity to meet Melinda herself and to talk a little bit more about her fabulous line of products. So, hi Melinda, and Melinda, tell us just for a moment, what do you think most moms are looking for when they look for your products? Why is it they would turn to Earth Mama Angel Baby products?
I think the biggest reason is because our entire product line was manufactured combining traditional plant medicine wisdom and evidence-based research. It's all zero toxins, and it was formulated to address those common discomforts of the whole process of birth.
Yes.
Morning sickness, heartburn, hemorrhoids, cracked nipples,
anything
sore
you could
bottoms.
possibly imagine.
You know, part of the process, the things that are part of the process. We think that there's a very safe way to address those issues.
Yeah, and that's what I love so much about your line, is that it really does cover all the bases. Anything from the beginning of pregnancy to the very end, vomiting, whatever it is that's going on, right through the labor. There are products for labor and birth. There are products for breastfeeding. There are products for your baby later. And are your products, they're organic as well?
Thank you for asking.
Yes.
The ones that are certified organic have the organic logo on them.
Awesome. And we've talked so much in other videos about how important it is to make sure that you're using non-toxic organic products on your babies, the ones that are paraben-free, to make sure that you're not giving your babies toxins unknowingly. Some of the stuff that's out there, we got to be really careful about it. What I love is that you've got some really great products like your teas that you can actually take for morning sickness, heartburn, even after pregnancy or postpartum tea is a fabulous tea. Is it only for pregnant moms? Can everybody drink these teas?
Pregnant women are not the only people that have heartburn.
Good.
Which,
That's true.
Which is not a surprise.
Yeah.
But our products are formulated for what we think is the most fragile population, which is pregnant women. And if they're formulated for pregnant women, anybody can take them.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a really good point, because we'll have people who come in and they'll talk about, can I use these products myself? You're not going to get pregnant from using the pregnancy tea, right? Okay, so just so we're clear about that, you can use it too. But it's just such a great, awesome line, and it's one that I always turn to. Melinda and I are going to be working very close together as we move forward, because our missions are just so similar. And for us, it's all about education, and I know for you,
Always has been.
it always has been. Educating, bringing that information to moms, and then offering a solution.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's so great, is that I love to give that education, and Melinda has provided us with the solution for so many of those discomforts that so many of you have. So thank you so much. It was great to see you.
I'm looking forward to working with you.
And
I really am.
we're really looking forward to it
longer.
too. We are looking forward to it too. So this is Melinda. You will get to know her more as time goes on. And thank you so much for watching. Take care. Melinda's just such an awesome person. You got a great idea of the vastness of her line is amazing, huh, Alicia? I mean, covers everything.
It really does, and I just love that she caters to mom too. You know, I mean, we want healthy babies, but we want happy mamas too.
Absolutely, and next, what we're going to be doing is starting off next season. I think she'll be next week, I believe, and what we're going to do is dedicate the whole night to moms versus talking about babies. We're going to talk about pregnancy. We're going to talk about moms. We're going to talk about labor and postpartum, and Earth Mama Melinda from Earth Mama is going to sponsor that night with all of her beautiful lines for moms out there. But tell us a little bit about why would we even consider or think about a mattress when it comes to organic?
Okay, well, I can tell you, of course, here we go again with my whole plastics in-depthness, and PVC, that would have to be the first three letters out of my mouth. So PVC is often used to waterproof mattresses. You know, that outside layer that you see on baby mattresses sometimes. It's kind of that crinkly, harder, thing. It's yucky. And a lot of people have learned that phthalates often come along with PVC. So that's good, and that's definitely a good beginning. But PVC also houses a whole lot of other yuckies out there. Lead is very often used as a stabilizer in PVC, and what I mean when I say stabilizer is that it kind of makes it a little more flexible, so that it's not, what do I want to say? The plastic isn't so rigid, and so it lasts longer. But the tricky part here is that lead doesn't like to stay inside the PVC, so it sloughs off and comes out very easily. And we all know how dangerous lead is in very, very minute amounts for babies.
Yes.
And they're there laying on that mattress just breathing it in. How many hours a day does a baby sleep?
Yeah, I mean...
So Naturepedic is, I just love them. I got to sit down and talk with the owner at ABC. That was the first time I'd gotten to meet him, and, I just fell in love with Naturepedic and their mission all over again.
Yeah.
So,
I never
their
realized.
mattresses really are fantastic. We use them in our family.
Yeah, I never realized.
Have you gotten to try one out?
Yeah, yes, we have them here in the store. Personally, I didn't have it. Was not on the market, unfortunately. So many of the things that we talk about were just not available, or I didn't know about them 6 and 9 years ago. It's pretty much out there now, but not for me personally. But it is the only thing that I recommend here to all of my clients. If they're going to do anything organic, it's like a couple of things that need to be organic, and one of them is their mattress. And I've read from Naturepedic and from other sources that you can actually measure the fumes that come out of a regular mattress. They're actually measurable.
Oh my gosh. So, I mean, talk about off-gassing galore, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty horrible. So, and the mattresses don't even cost that much more money. It's just a healthier choice. Again, it's back to that same conversation of not living within a bubble, but just taking the places where they're going to have the most exposure, that are going to make the most difference, and trying to limit it as much as possible.
That's exactly right. The mattress is a long-term investment, so why not get it right from the start?
Oh, absolutely.
And there's another aspect that I have to bring up about mattresses, since the baby's laying on it so much, and that's flame retardants.
Oh, yeah.
And that's another area we're delving into at the Soft Landing. Our team of sisters has been doing some heavy-duty research, and Joni, she's in the chat room, Casey Baby Planners. She is, wow, she's like our little in-house expert. And we got to interview Naturepedic about what kind of flame retardants do they use, because you really do have to have some kind of protection,
yes.
So it's all about just choosing the right one, and they use an all-natural flame retardant that is non-bromated and non-halogenated, and those are the keys. They've done an amazing job of coming up with a safe alternative, and I'm just so impressed.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that we found is that children that are in cloth diapers actually potty train much quicker. So, and that's because they feel wet.
Yeah, exactly, and that's exactly right. And I've also heard that Rumperoos is in the process of developing a really great training pants.
Yep, they absolutely are.
And I think my sister Casey Baby Planners just mentioned that in the chat room. Yep. I'm excited about that.
Well, let's explain for a second, why do they feel so dry in those diapers? They go on TV and they market how dry, and the driest diaper has to be the best diaper out there. And what they're not telling you is that it's loads and loads of chemicals is what makes that diaper drier and drier and drier.
Oh, exactly, and I'm sure you guys saw Z-Rex did some amazing work. If you guys haven't been to zrecommends.com, you got to check them out.
What was that
They
website?
did some amazing work on Pampers Dry Max
Yeah.
and some serious, we're not just talking diaper rash, we're talking injuries to babies' bottoms and skin
Yes.
from the chemicals in the absorption.
Yes.
I'll need that one.
And Julie
So
was
it is scary.
And Julie was explaining to us last week that it's not even that it necessarily is a new chemical, but that they just put more of it into the diapers that have always existed. And by doing more and more of it, babies had severe chemical burns from it.
Yeah, it's so crazy to think, and it's just totally unnecessary. And kids really do learn how to recognize when they need to go pee-pee,
Yes.
when they can feel it.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, and it's really so much easier than most people think. You know, we talk about breastfeeding, and I always tell everyone, and all these guys will vouch for it, I will always tell you, breastfeeding is simple, but it is not easy, okay? And eventually it will get easier over time. Cloth diapering is way easier than you think. You think this is going to be something hard, and it turns out to be extremely simple. And that's really what we hear from everybody who comes through here. And like you said, you know, we're not preaching to the choir here. I got most of my clients coming in there looking at me like I have two heads. Like, you want me to do what? And by the time they're done with our workshop and they're cloth diapering, they're coming back and thanking us and saying, you know, this is the best thing that I've done for my child. And they're right, because the exposure that they will get from that diaper is more than anything else that your child will be exposed to over a long period of time. You got to think about it. Most kids don't potty train until they're about 3.5 years old. So that's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Oh my gosh, it's so true. And my poor little babies, I just didn't know any better, you know, at the time, and they had the worst diaper rash ever. And then I'd run out and get this horrible diaper cream, you know, and slap that on there and hope it fixed it. I didn't know about Earth Mama at that time either, you know? I mean, just my poor kids, you know, at least I can help somebody else, right?
Let's talk a little bit about breastfeeding, okay? I think I'm going to probably have most of that to say. I have a lot to say when it comes to breastfeeding. But you know, the questions keep coming up, and there's been so much conversation, and it just seems like there's so much misinformation out there. You know, that's, I think, the biggest thing that I'm seeing is that, you know, you go to all these, and Julie and I had this conversation last week when it came to cloth diapering. It's very similar. You know, you got a lot of chat rooms, a lot of moms helping moms, which is fantastic. But sometimes you can have a lot of conflicting information, and for new mothers, that can be really, really difficult. Like, who do you listen to? Who do you trust? What do you do? But when it comes to breastfeeding, I guess one of the best ways to avoid toxins is to breastfeed. But, you know, even when we do that, there are things that I think need to be mentioned because they can go through the breast milk. And, you know, it's one of those things is something like mercury, that you want to actually take the time before you get pregnant to get your mercury levels checked, to try to bring your mercury levels down before your baby's actually born. We found that one study showed that there were over 200 chemicals in a baby's cord blood even at the time of birth. And so, isn't that amazing? There's so much exposure before they're ever even born. Obviously, there are more chemicals. I'm not saying that, you know, breastfeeding is not the best thing to do for your baby, but those kind of chemicals, the exposures that we have, can also go through breast milk. They're found in higher quantities in formula, so it's not much better. But you know, the more healthier that you can be for yourself, the better you're going to be for your baby.
Absolutely. And you know, you made me think of something else with the chemical exposure. It's becoming more and more clear that these chemical exposures that we're experiencing before we get pregnant, oftentimes actually keep us from getting pregnant.
Oh, yes.
You know, it can cause so much infertility.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, that is so true, and it's really it's a very sad state that we live in that nobody really cares about. You know, you don't have to prove that a chemical is safe to actually bring it to market. They have to prove that it has to be proven later that it wasn't safe. So we're really we're like these walking experiments. You know, it's just very, very scary.
Totally, and it isn't even just proving it afterwards; it's beating the lobby.
That's true. That is true.
Millions of dollars to get it proven unsafe.
Yeah, we know it's not. We know it's not safe, and yet we still and they're still out there. Even like even cleaners for your home too. You know, like all the toxic stuff that's in the cleaners that you put on your, you know, that's
Oh my gosh.
cleaning your baby's nursery. They're chewing on their crib rails and all the things that they're the tables, and you're using all these chemicals to keep things germ free and clean free. But it's the chemicals are worse than the germs.
Absolutely. And you know, this whole idea, this concept that everything has to be sterilized
Yeah.
is just absurd.
No, totally
And
absurd.
The antibacterials and stuff.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, it's just such a misconception that we need that. They're actually more harmful
Absolutely, absolutely.
than anything. And you know, I have to say, I have, you know, a favorite that's actually a couple of them.
Yes.
The first thing is making my own. Have you ever made your own?
No, I haven't, but I'm planning to like start looking into it because I just can't find anything out there. Oh, Jen's ready to teach me. I should have known that. She's right here ready to teach me. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're so simple and it's so cheap. And the Smart Mama, she has some great recipes, and she's been featured on Healthy Child, Healthy World's website too. Just how to make your own things. I mean, she's come up with some amazing little combinations that are totally safe, and they do a great job. You know, they might take a little bit more elbow grease.
Yes.
And you kind of need to keep up on it. You can't just go burn it off, you know, like you can with
Yes.
bleach, you know?
Yes, absolutely.
So, and then EcoStore is another company that I really trust.
What is
for
the name?
my
What was
cleaning
it?
products.
What was the name of that one?
Oh, EcoStore.
EcoStore.
USA.
Yes.
Yep, EcoStoreUSA.com, and they're a partner of the Healthy Child, Healthy World.
Awesome.
So I always feel good finding people that have been, you know, very thoroughly vetted.
Thank you for being here. Have a wonderful night. Mwah.